Hello and welcome, creative friends, to day 10 and 11 of No Sue November. I thought it might be fun to combine both prompts, mixed materials and mini collage into one video. But before we dive in, let me just move a few things out of the way and show you what I did for day 9, patchwork parts. I created this tag with the quote, "It started out as a harmless hobby. I had no idea it would come this far." And honestly, that's exactly how I feel about creativity. One small step leads to another. One technique opens the door to a whole bunch of new things. It's a beautiful, never-ending process of discovery. Recently, I found this watercolor canvas pad at my local art store and also these paper die-cut books. I might use them today or maybe not, who knows? You know how it goes. Sometimes the supplies decide for us. I also have this bowl full of bits and pieces I want to use for today's prompts. Now the pages for days 10 and 11 are actually the smallest in my entire journal. They measure about 4¼ by 4½ inches or roughly 11 by 11.5 centimeters, quite a small size to work on. And both of them are pockets, which makes it even more interesting. So I've already cut some different papers to size and I've gathered a few small stencils I want to use to create a background. I also have some other bits and bobs ready: lace, stickers, some paper dolls, butterflies, all the good stuff. Let's start with the background. I'm choosing a stencil and I'll be working with 2 different ink colors for a bit of variety. Most of my stenciled motifs won't be visible later, but that's perfectly fine. They still add visual depth underneath everything else. It's all part of that layered look. Next, I'm using watercolor to tone down the brightness of my paper a little. Then comes my piece of canvas paper. And on top of that, I'm adding a bit of vintage book paper. I also like to round my edges. It softens the look a little. I'm using both liquid glue and a glue stick to adhere everything. I find combining them gives a stronger hold and prevents edges from lifting later. When I looked at my second layer, it seemed a bit plain, so I decided to add some stamping. Stamping immediately adds texture and interest to your page. If you ever feel your collage looks a bit flat, try adding a few stamped patterns. It's a quick fix that always works. Now let's talk for a moment about mixed materials, in other words, mixed media in general. Mixed media simply means using more than one material, like paper and fabric, in a single project. A mini collage is a small-scale version of that, where you glue various materials onto a surface to create a new image or texture. Think of it like an art cook or art chef. Instead of using one ingredient, like paint, you combine different things: paper, lace, fabric, ink, maybe even a bit of thread, to create something more interesting and full of texture. The big idea behind mixed media is all about breaking the rules. It's about experimentation, layering, and most importantly, having fun with different textures and colors. There's no right or wrong, anything goes. A collage is a type of mixed media where you cut and glue different materials onto a background, like paper or canvas. It's a wonderful place to start, especially for beginners, because you don't need traditional drawing or painting skills to create something beautiful. And a mini part just means working on a smaller scale, which is perfect for practicing techniques and for creating something quick and satisfying. For day 10, I wanted to stay with neutral tones that match the background of my pocket page. Most of my stamped images got covered by the third layer of paper, so I simply stamped again. That's the nice thing about layering. You can always go back in and adjust. As my focal point, I choose this flower. I actually forgot to ink around the edges before gluing it down, so I did it afterward. A bit of a messy rescue, but it worked out fine. To finish this piece, I added a bit of lace at the bottom. I used double-sided tape for this, but honestly, does anyone else struggle with removing that protective layer? If you have any tips, please let me know in the comments. Then I added an eyelet, and for the center of the flower I used a small jewelry sticker just for that extra sparkle. I pulled a few strings of wool through the eyelet for a soft tactile feeling. And added a small piece of burlap that I found in my little bowl at the bottom of the envelope. Now moving on to day 11, mini collage. For this one I found a beautiful butterfly, one of Tim Holtz paper dolls, a leftover piece from previous pages, a bit of lace and some die-cut leaves. I arranged them all together on the page and added this quote, "Just like the butterfly, I will awaken in my own time." And that completes my second page. Like how it turned out? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to check out my day 9 video if you haven't yet. There's a 500 subscriber giveaway happening, and I'd love for you to be part of it. My videos with or without music in the background. Some people find music relaxing, others prefer the pure ASMR of paper sounds and my voice. Let me know what you enjoy most. Thank you so much for spending time with me today, creative friends. As always, happy creating, and I'll see you next time.